All right, we're rolling. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Let's hear it.
You're on an island,
Mm-hmm.
and you can only order takeout from one place, and that's the last food you'll ever get that's not on that island. What would you order?
This podcast is brought to you by Dead Cat. If you guys are not aware, Dead Cat is what powers this podcast. We have studio downtown. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You can find us all over the place. Come, check us out, hang out with us. We'd love to hear from you guys.
McDonald's.
No way.
McDonald's. Absolutely.
That's what you would order.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Well, Austin Exum, welcome to the podcast.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm excited you're here.
I'm excited. Been looking forward to it.
Okay,
Thinking
so
about it all week. Yeah.
You asked me to be on the podcast.
I did. Yeah, I kind of came at you.
You did. Very aggressively.
I wouldn't say aggressively.
I wasn't aggressive, but you were very excited about it.
I was excited. Well, I got told about it, and I was like, oh. And I had already met you once. So I was like, oh, cool. You know, he's came to one of my dinners. He knows what I do. Like, all right, he doesn't want to have me on his podcast. Okay. So that's why I said something, because I was like, I want to be on it. Yeah.
I don't want to ask everybody I'll cross if they want to be on my podcast, because I feel like that comes off like, I don't know.
Like you're reaching or something?
Yeah, or conceited, or I don't know. It just feels like if I just ask every person I walk past, you want to be on a podcast? You want to be on a podcast? You want to be on a podcast? So I try to pick people, but not like I never not pick a person because I don't want them to be on my podcast.
Right. Yeah.
So I just don't think about it until I think about it. But
So I'm pretty much here on my own will.
Yep.
Not on your will, but on my will. Okay.
And I'm totally okay with that. If people want to ask me to be on podcasts, I'll gladly tell them no. No, I'm just kidding. I'll tell them.
Yeah,
I don't mind. I'll tell
you
them.
could have told me no.
No, I wouldn't tell you no. Well, I'm super excited that you're on the podcast.
I'm excited about it, yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. Where were you born?
I was born in Sulphur Springs.
Sulphur Springs.
Sulphur Springs.
Okay.
Never lived in Sulphur Springs, but I was born there from Paris. So, yeah.
Do you remember how old you were when you moved? Did you move from there to Paris?
No, like it was just like I was just born there.
Oh, okay.
Like my parents were living here.
Okay.
And I just got
born
over.
there.
I was born there, yeah.
So I would still say Paris.
Oh yeah, I'm full on.
Yeah, full on Paris. Awesome. Okay. So what school did you go to?
North Lamar.
All right. All right. Do you remember what was your thing growing up at North Lamar? Like what did you play?
I grew up playing soccer. Like that's all I played was soccer. I feel like every kid plays soccer.
Okay.
I was that kid too. But I played soccer, and then whenever I got into middle school, high school stuff, it was baseball, football, and basketball, and
So you
track.
played a lot of sports.
Played a lot of sports, yeah.
Did you watch a lot of sports, or did you just play sports?
Yeah, I watched a lot of sports. I grew up watching football on Sundays, and baseball too. I remember when the Rangers went to the World Series and all that stuff. I was big into baseball then. So baseball and football mainly. I never really got cared too much about basketball. I just played it.
You just played it?
Just played it, yeah. I didn't really care to watch it as much.
I feel like I wanted to play basketball more than other sports that I played, and I was probably the least good at basketball.
I'd say that I was the same way. Yeah, I wasn't the greatest at basketball. I was okay at it. It wasn't like I was all-star or nothing like that. But I played it. I enjoyed it. But football and baseball were the main two.
Were there any other hobbies or things you did growing up in school that you enjoyed?
Not really. Cooking.
Did you do cooking in school?
In fourth grade, there's actually a picture. I'd have to find it, but there's a picture of me in fourth grade, and it was like most likely to like be a chef or something like that. Yeah, it's a great picture. I'm about 300 pounds at age 10.
So, but what did you cook at age?
I don't even know. That's the thing. Like I don't remember what I cooked. I remember one thing that I made, and it was. I was talking about it with my mom all the time. It was like it was from Paula Deen.
Her cookbook?
No, like it was off the Food Network. Like I watched her make it on the Food Network, and I was like, I want to make that. But I didn't like fish, and it was like a fish sandwich or something.
Okay.
And I was like, but I don't like fish, so I'm gonna switch it out with chicken. Let's see if it works with chicken.
Okay.
So all I remember about it was that it was some type of chicken with like a lime mayonnaise and cilantro, maybe.
Okay.
And
did it work?
Mom says it was good. I don't remember. I remember
moms
not
have to.
Exactly. I don't remember caring for it too much. But I remember like making that. I feel like that was like the start.
Okay,
you know?
now as a kid, did you cook at home with parents? Did you where did you do the most of your cooking as a kid?
At home, yeah, at home. I watched a lot. Like I watched my grandmothers cook a lot.
Did you help when Thanksgiving dinners and stuff like that?
I wouldn't say I did. I don't remember if I did. If I did, I might have just been in the way. I don't remember. Mom would never let me cut with a knife. She would never let me use a knife.
Okay.
So yeah, pretty much would just watch. I'd always want to be involved, but they would never let me because they didn't want me to get burned or cut myself or whatever have you. But I was always around it. Always liked being around it. So yeah.
So, but then did you take classes in high school?
Yes, I took the culinary arts class in high school. Yeah.
When do you feel like that? You kind of fell in love with that?
Honestly, I feel like it was at age 10, 11.
Really?
Yeah, honestly, because I was so into the Food Network. I'd call the Food, on Christmas and Thanksgiving, they'd have these shows where you could call in and ask them to make something or ask them how to what can I do with my turkey or my ham?
Would call in.
I would call. I never got on. They'd never answer my phone call. But it was one of those live shows where they would pick up and they would transfer you over and you'd ask them the question. Yeah, I would just spam it, spam that phone, and it never happened. But yeah, I'd say age 10 or 11, I was really into cooking. I knew I wanted to cook whenever I got older. And I actually have a chef coat that I got as a gift when I was 10. Oddly enough, it was huge then. When I say huge, it fits me now, huge.
Do you still have it?
I still have it, yeah. It has my initials on it. I got it as a gift, yeah. I think I was 10 or 11, maybe 12 when I got it, yeah.
Okay, so from 10 on up, you fell in love with it, but did you think that was a career path for you?
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, totally.
And you stayed true to that?
Stayed true to it.
Really?
Yeah, you can ask anybody in high school. They would be shocked. They'd be like, what do you want to do when you graduate? I want to be a chef.
Really?
Yeah, and they'd be like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. And nobody really knew that until, high school, whenever I'd start talking about it. If somebody asked me, I would never go around, I'm going to be a chef. I would never tell people, but if they asked me, I'd tell them. And they would be kind of shocked about it, but it's
because it doesn't seem like a normal, everybody wants to be an astronaut or
a
police officer, a fireman. Or, right now my middle child wants to be a YouTuber that is an astronaut.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think I never had any influence, pressure to do
Anything
you should
else?
do this, you should do that. I don't know, I just loved watching people make food or cook or whatever.
So I asked, I'll save that question for later. Okay, going into culinary class in school, what was that like? Did you learn, what kind of stuff did you learn during that time?
Not a lot. It's more, at that time it was more like a home ec course. It was very basic cooking, and looking back at it now, I don't even consider that cooking. I consider heating stuff up.
Do you feel like you'd already learned a lot of that prior to coming into that class?
I feel like I definitely felt like I had an edge up,
yeah,
if you will, on everybody when it came to that stuff. But looking now, no, I didn't know really anything. I thought I knew a lot. I mean, I knew more than the average person. I knew how to cut up something and cook it, and I knew how to cook chicken or steak or pork or whatever. I knew those basics. But yeah, I didn't really learn a whole lot from it. Not really. I enjoyed it, but I didn't learn anything from it. No.
Did you have when was your first paying gig to cook for someone?
To get paid to do it,
was it still in high school or would it be after?
No, it was whenever I did the catering business.
Okay.
That was the first time I ever got paid to cook for somebody. Yeah.
So you went through school. You did all those things. What was the plan for after school?
So, go to culinary school. That was my thing. I was like, I'm going to culinary school. Nothing's stopping me. Military recruiter comes in. They'd come in a decent amount when you're in high school. And my grandfather was a Marine, so I always knew he did that. And that was always something I was interested in too. Okay. I feel like the videos, they look all awesome and you want to be like them. So that was definitely in the back of my mind, but I never thought that I would end up doing that. And so the Marine recruiter came in and was talking to our class or whatever, and he was talking about all the different options. You can go active duty, you can go reserve, and I didn't know there was such thing as a Marine Corps Reserve. So he was talking about that, and I was like, oh, I can go to school and do the military at the same time, do best of both worlds. I get a paycheck from them, I can go to culinary school, I get money for school. I was like, sounds like a no-brainer, like I get to do both. So ended up doing that, and awesome. So that kind of staggered the culinary school route. It put it on hold. So, yeah, I did that. I signed up for the Marine Corps Reserve for 6 years. And yeah.
So how did that look? You left high school.
High school. I graduated high school in June. I don't remember the day, but it was like directly 2 weeks after that I left for boot camp. So 2 weeks after graduation, I left. And
what was boot camp like?
It was. It was like the videos showed to an extent. I mean, like you don't see the behind the scenes stuff, but it was good. Yeah, it was.
And how long's boot camp?
13 weeks. So just a little over 3 months. Yeah. Okay. It was fun though. I mean, looking back on it, it was fun. During that time, it was not fun. I remember getting off the bus, and everybody says it like you're gonna get off the bus and think like, what did I just do?
And you did?
Totally felt that. Yeah.
Okay.
Totally felt that. I felt that. Getting on the plane to leave Dallas to go to San Diego, I was like, oh, what did I just do? Like, why am I doing this? For what? And the longer process you're in it, the more you're like, okay, this is why I did it. Like, I'm glad that I did it now. Yeah. So, yeah.
Now, the people you were there with, like, do you feel like you bonded with anybody that you went through boot camp with?
There was one guy. I mean, you bond with everybody, but there was one guy that, like, because we went to boot camp together. We went to our little follow-on school after that together. And then we split ways after that. But me and him got super close in boot camp because we weren't rack mates, but we were directly next to each other. So we got really close, and I still talk to him to this day. I mean, awesome. He lives in New Mexico. I haven't seen him since we, like, split ways. Yeah. But yeah, that's one guy.
Now, after boot camp, you have to pick like a specialty or a field or something like that?
So you pick it before you go.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, you pick it before you go. You sign for a job before you go. Aviation ordnance is what it's called. Yeah.
Okay. And what does that mean?
Okay, so it's aviation. You're with airplanes.
I got that part.
Yeah. So the ordnance has to do with like explosives, bombs, missiles, rockets, all that kind of stuff. And there's two sides of it. There's people that directly work on the plane itself and like attach these munitions to the aircraft, and then there's a side where they just assemble them together and send them to those people to put them on the plane itself. So I went to school to be attached to F-18s.
Okay. Specifically
F-18. So there's certain munitions and rockets that attach to those. So your schooling was based around that.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just has to do. And the side that I'm on is the side that assembles and builds them. Yeah.
Was that kind of cool?
It is cool. It's a cool job to see, all those. So to see like our military.
Was it more like a lab, and then you just kind of had like stuff around you and assembled them, or is it like in a hangar?
Yeah. So the first school. So I went from San Diego in boot camp back to a little bit farther north in California for like combat training stuff. And then from there I went to Pensacola, which was my first school like directly for that job for aviation ordnance. And that was more like in a classroom. There was no hands-on anything. It was all in the classroom, book work. left there and went to Cherry Point, North Carolina for the follow-on school for the same job.
Okay.
And that was more hands-on stuff. So you got a lot more like labs, if you will, to, you know, work on these specific things. And yeah. So
That's awesome.
It was a fun experience. I mean, not many 18, 19-year-olds get to
do that.
Just leave home and, you know,
work on ammunitions.
Right. So, I mean, it's cool when you think about it looking back, and you make a lot of friends, you meet a lot of people. Everybody's from different walks of life, and you get to, I mean, you just share a bond with them. You don't even have to know them. You share a bond with them. It's unlike any other thing. So
now, were you still cooking during this?
No.
So you just stopped.
So they knew that I was in the reserve. So they knew after this school in North Carolina that I was going back home, that I was done with the schooling, and then I would go to my once a month.
Gotcha.
So they knew that, and they're like, "What are you going to do?" I'm like, "I'm going to go to culinary school." Of course, same thing. Like, they're like, "What? Really?"
Really?
And so if we ever had time to like cook, and the only cooking that I could do is like on a grill, because they would have a little grill outside. We would do that, or if we had time on the weekend, we'd go out and eat. And I would always try to pick a place that, you know, looked cool to go eat at.
Yeah.
And most people, if you're not a foodie, you could care less about you know, where you go eat.
Exactly.
And that was kind of how it was, but I'd just be like, just trust me. Like, I'm about to put y'all on. I'm about to put you on some stuff you never even had before, and you're gonna love it. Let's do it. And it actually ended up, we'd go to this place as often as possible, to this same place that we went the first time. Because they loved it so much, so that was cool.
Is there a certain part of you that like thrives off of people not realizing, based off their first like visual impression of you, that you're a foodie or a cook?
Does it bother me?
No, thrive. Like, for me, I love sometimes when people can't size me up when they first see me. They don't know what I do, and then when they find out what I do, they're like, oh, "Really?"
Yeah. Not really. I feel like nobody can really say like, "Oh, you're a chef, aren't you?"
I feel like people.
Nah. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, people can't really like looking at you when you walk in. If I didn't know you, had never met you, I would never guess what your profession was.
What would you think it'd be?
I don't know. I wouldn't guess cook.
Yeah.
And I feel like people, from me, sometimes they guess some of the weirdest things, like musician.
But see, I feel like you can kind of fit that with you, you know? Like, I could see musician or videographer, photographer. I could see all that with you. Now, if I first met you, I probably wouldn't know. Yeah. You know? But then after somebody tells you, I feel like you can kind of be like, oh, you know, it kind of fits you a little bit. Yeah. A little bit. Not always. Not always.
I will say that when I see you in action, because I came to it was the Valentine's dinner. I saw you in the back a little bit. When I see you in action, it definitely looks like you're in your zone.
In
like
my zone.
In your place. Mm-hmm. You're at home. Yeah,
it does. And honestly, it took me a while to like feel that way, to feel like, all right, this is my spot. This is what I do. Like, I'm comfortable. Like, this is my thing. You know, it took me a little bit to like get in that groove, if you will. So
you just came back and you started culinary school, right?
Mm-hmm. So I came back in March of 19. Came back in March. I got a job at Red Bear when it was still here. Yeah. So I was waiting to go to school. I got accepted into the school.
Okay. What was the name of school?
The Culinary School of Fort Worth.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got accepted into that school, and it started in August. Okay. So I was kind of just waiting to do it. So I was like, well, I can, you know, I've been doing my military stuff. I'm ready to cook. Like, I put it on hold. I'm ready to get back to it. So I started working for him at Red Bear. Okay. And I loved it. I enjoyed it a lot. I was back home, so I was happy to be back home.
Do you feel like you learned a lot working?
I do. Him? Like, I really do. Yeah.
Kenneth, right?
Yeah.
He actually has been on the podcast.
Has he? Mm-hmm. I need to listen to it then. Mm-hmm. I need to listen to it. Yeah, he's a cool guy.
He is a cool guy.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was. I knew of him. Mm-hmm. I hadn't met him before. I knew he had the food truck with the pizza and stuff. But they had like just opened pretty much whenever I started working there. I started working there in, I think, May, something like that. And they had just opened maybe in like January or something. So they were pretty new So it was cool to be able to like be a part of it that early because they were still very
Figuring
busy,
things out, yeah.
very busy, and people were coming, and we would have those nights where it was really packed out in there, and getting that experience to be on a line, and especially that small kitchen. Because a lot of the time it was me, him, and one other person, and if it got pretty busy in there, it gets pretty tight.
And he'd been doing it for years, and he'd done everything from big kitchen to a food truck. So he knew various ways of doing things. So that's probably a really great way for you to have learned a lot in a short amount of time.
It was, yeah. So I ended up working for him from like May to August. I left in August to go to school. Okay. So but I learned a lot. Just working for him, just like getting my hands dirty pretty much. Yeah. Because I had no experience besides Sonic in high school, and I don't really count that.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
I'm very much like a hands-on learner, so like,
yeah, definitely.
I mean, I can YouTube something, but I almost have to have it like playing on one screen and while I'm doing it on the other screen. Do you feel like that's kind of how you are? Like,
definitely, yeah. I'm not a write it down. No, not at all. Not at all. And that was what's so good about the school that I went to. Their program is strictly based on hands-on learning.
Really?
Yeah. So it's not a degree program. It was a certificate. So it's very hands-on. It's only 5 hours a day. Okay. And we would maybe max have an hour of like classroom time. And it wasn't even like classroom. It was just like, this is what we're doing today. This is the region that it's in. And we would kind of go over the history of it, and be like, here's your recipes. Let's go cook. And we would go in there and we'd cook every day.
So when you walked into culinary school, did you feel intimidated by like the other people there, or?
Not really. I mean, obviously I'd never been to college before, and I think you assume when you come out of high school.
But you'd went to boot camp, so surely you can handle.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, whenever I got there, I assumed that everybody would be around my age. Mm-hmm. And
were they?
Oh no. Okay. No, not at all. I mean, there were people in there that were 40 plus. Okay. People in there that were 30s, 20s. There were people my age, 18 or 19, like all different ages. There were some people in there that literally were like, yeah, I'm just really bored and just kind of wanted to learn how to cook.
That's what I was fixing to ask. When you went in, did it feel like everybody had the same passion that you did, or did some of them just kind of do it for fun?
Yeah, some of them did it just for fun, just to learn, to like learn how to cook, because they could not cook at all. Okay. And they were lucky enough to be able to pay that to go, learn how to cook. But there were people in there that were passionate like me, that were planning to do it after, they graduated. Because some of them, they wanted to graduate, go back to their life. Mm-hmm. And there were some people that wanted to graduate and follow on with it and make it a career.
And use it.
Mm-hmm. So, all different types of people.
How long was that course?
It was 9 months.
9 months, okay. And so what were you thinking when that was done? What were you thinking?
So the way that they had it set up was you'd get an externship while you're in school. So I was kind of just taking it day by day. I didn't know where I'd end up. And I love Italian food. I love pasta. I love all that kind of stuff. So I told them I wanted to be in an Italian restaurant. And so they placed me in a place in Grapevine at an Italian restaurant that had recently opened. Okay. And so, I went there, and I wasn't really planning on leaving. I wasn't planning on staying there forever, but I wasn't planning on leaving.
So they placed you there as like a job, or is it like a...
Right, so it's like an externship, and then if they want to hire you on afterwards, they can. Yeah, okay. So I went there in March of 20. Okay. Going back into 2020.
Right, yay.
Went there in March in 2020 and started working there, and then all the COVID stuff hit, and we stayed open, but...
For a lot of it.
Yeah, so I was driving back here a lot. I wasn't living over there full time. When I was living with my aunt, so I didn't. That was a blessing to not even have to pay for rent or anything.
Even through school, you would live here and drive there.
No, so I lived in Frisco with my aunt when I was going to school. Okay. Whenever I was over there in that area, I would live with my aunt. So I didn't have to I didn't have any rent, I didn't have none of that. So it's just awesome. Lucky and a blessing to have people over there to So I'm thankful for them all the time for housing me, so.
Thank you, Aunt.
Yeah,
What's
thank
her
you,
name?
Aunt Nancy.
Thank you, Aunt Nancy.
Thank you, Aunt Nancy. Appreciate it. You're the best.
Big shout out.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2020 hit. Like, obviously, we all know what happened that year.
Mm-hmm.
And you stayed there for a lot of that?
I stayed there through the beginning of it and through the summer. I left there in July. Whenever March hit, whenever everything was kind of like up in the air, didn't know what was going on, we ended up having to close our doors to the public, and it was all just to go. But luckily enough, where the restaurant was at, it's in downtown Grapevine, and they have these like apartment complexes just lined all above it, and all around it.
Yeah.
So it was almost like, it was actually kind of cool. It was like this little neighborhood like vibe of people that would keep us in business pretty much. I mean, they weren't wanting to go anywhere. They'd just come downstairs and we'd hand the food to them and they'd go back up, So that was cool to see that. And we had our regulars. They knew who I was. Like, I knew who they were. So it felt like that family like type vibe. And that's what I always wanted with food. I never wanted that send a plate out. I don't even know who it's going to. I don't know if they liked it. I don't know how they felt about it. I don't know what they look like. And that restaurant was cool because I got that. I got that family vibe. I knew who you were. Okay. Did you like it? Yeah, no, whatever, So it was very interactive with the customers, even the cooks in the back, super interactive with everybody. So that was cool to be able to experience that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So when they had to shut the doors and did you come back home, or what happened?
In July, I came back home. Yeah. So I got a job at a nursing home / rehab center, whatever you want to call it. It's at the Heritage House here in Paris. I moved back here to Paris for that. And honestly, at that time, I was in this stage of, I was tired of working in a restaurant, because even whenever it was COVID, we were still working a lot.
Yeah.
Just normal restaurant hours, getting off late, going in early, just a grind, 6 days a week, just pushing. You don't really have a life outside of there. You don't get to enjoy what you want to do.
At a restaurant, did you feel like it got to where you were cooking the same? Because they had a menu, and it's the same menu.
Right.
Did you feel like you ended up cooking a lot of the same thing?
Very much, yeah. It's very repetitive every day. So, and the chef there was kind of transitioning me into letting me kind of be more open about what I would like to see on the menu, or throw my ideas out there to him, which was cool, because that usually doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So that was cool to be able to do that. But yeah, I mean, it was crazy.
Okay, so when you got back here, did you have an idea of getting back into cooking?
I did. So yeah, I was at that point in my life where I was tired of being in the restaurant industry,
right,
which I'd only been in for 4 months. I was already tired of it. I was like, well, crap, where am I going now? So let's change pace. Let's go to a different side of cooking.
Okay.
Let's go into healthcare cooking.
Okay.
Let's see what that's about. So took that job and was super excited about it. Hours were better, days on. I only worked whenever I went there, it was supposed to be 4 days on, 2 days off. This is still during COVID too. So 4 days on, 2 days off. I was getting paid more. I was like, this is a win-win, and I'm back home. Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm pumped. So start working that job. Little did I know, it's a very, somebody comes in, 2 weeks later, they're gone. Now we're down 2 people.
Oh, no.
Then another person comes in, then they're gone, then we're down 3. And now everybody's picking up shifts. Everybody's picking up doubles. So the way that the shifts were, you either worked from 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. or 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Those were the 2 shifts. So a lot of the time, you were having to work doubles. And those doubles were from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. at night. And if you got 3 of those back to back to back, it was just you better love to cook. You better love it. Because if not, you get tired of it really fast. Yeah, you get tired of it really fast. And that's what had happened again. I was like, I'm tired of this. how do you stay happy? Like, how am I going to stay? I can't do this the rest of my life. Like, I was super unhappy with it, and I didn't know what to do. I got to the point where I was like, I'm done with cooking. Like, I'm going to
Really?
Yeah, I was super
Not
low.
even a year into it yet.
Yes. Like, it was rough. I was like, I'm done with it. I'm tired of working like this. Like, and you know, and
Did you feel defeated?
pretty much. Like, I'm very like, if I get my mind set on something, I'll have a goal in mind. I'm like, this is what I want to achieve. I want to have this by the time I'm this age. Or I want to have this goal, you know, in 6 months, a year. And that's probably just being super young and thinking, you know, everything comes to you like that. It doesn't take a lot of work. You just got to, you know. And
it
that's
had to
how
feel
I felt.
daunting because you just spent most of your life since you were 10 wanting to get into the cooking.
Right.
And
yeah, and that was the thing. That's what was really so like
heavy
on me, was like, I'm losing my passion for this. Like, I've had this passion for the past 10 years. Where is it gone?
Yeah.
Why don't I have it anymore?
I mean, that stinks that you felt like that. So what did you have, like, did you sit around and like ponder on life and like, where do I want to go?
Yeah, so I would go home and just be like, what am I going to do now? Like, what's the next option? I was looking, I mean, literally at anything. Like, I was even at the point where I was like
different careers.
Like, I was that out of it. Like, I didn't want anything to do with it.
Was there one career that you thought that this might be my different direction?
I looked at being like a state trooper. Like, that interested me a little bit.
Okay.
But I wouldn't even say that it interested, like, I would think about it, be like, okay, state trooper. Be like, but I've never even thought, like, I can't, like, that's just on a whim. You know, that's just like emotion on a whim. Like, let's do that, you know? So that was like the thing. I was just like, this is what I've always wanted to do. Like, I'm doing it. Like,
so it just kept pulling back at you.
yeah. Like, I would think about it and be like, well, I have no experience in anything else. And it wasn't even like I had crazy experience, you know, at all. But I was just like, I can't give up on it. I just can't do it. 'Cause I couldn't picture myself doing anything else but food. Like, I just couldn't.
Did you have anybody in your life like championing you to stay into it, or to like?
My mom and dad would, you know, I would talk to them a little bit about it and just say, you know, this is where I'm at. Like, I'm out of it. I don't want to do this anymore. And, you know, them being parents were just like, well, you need to figure it out, you know? And I get it. Like,
Yeah.
at this point, I'm 20.
Yeah.
It's like, you need to figure it out. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, whatever, you know, and it's not even like, whatever I would do, they would support it. It didn't matter. But yeah, it was tough. But at that moment, that's when it was like, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to start my own business. So,
and I think this is pretty close to when this happened. I actually have a funny story. I was shooting a video at the golf course for, I think it was a city. No. What was the video at the golf course for? Food promotion video. And for the chamber. I remember now. And your dad was in the background at the top tracer.
yeah.
And he calls me over and he starts talking to me. He's talking you up, which I had never met you. I knew your dad from several events and stuff. And he says, listen, you need to talk to my son. He pops his phone up, calls you. I don't know who you are, and he just hands the phone to me.
I forgot about that.
And so I'm like, hello.
Oh, my God, I forgot about that.
And we have a conversation.
We did. I totally forgot about
and
that.
I could tell from your voice, you were like, I don't know you. I don't know what to say to you.
I completely forgot about that.
That was actually our first time
It was.
having a conversation.
It was.
And it felt, I think we were both just as awkward on the phone.
Yeah, I mean, it was, yeah. But that's so him.
Okay.
So him, yeah. So him.
And I don't know. I mean, I was super generic. I was like, man, if you ever need anything, let me know.
Yeah, no.
But I think that's right when you were just starting.
It was super early.
Super early.
Yeah, because I started this in October of 2020. Actually, October of 2020 is when I like officially. Facebook page was created.
Really?
It's Facebook official. Let's do this. Yeah.
Let's do this.
So, and it's all history.
It's all history,
if you will.
So what's the name?
Taste.
Yeah. And so how did that come about?
Honestly, it was like the first name that popped in my head when I was thinking of a name for like a catering company.
Okay.
I like one word names.
Okay.
I like short to the point names like that, and that was the first one that popped up was Taste. So yeah, that's where it came from. No inspiration, just off the head.
And so so how did you start getting your name out there and start getting a logo, and how did you come up with all of that?
So I did a logo online.
Okay.
By myself on my phone through an app. Probably super copyright. Probably, maybe. Not really, but yeah. So I did it online on my phone. Got the logo. Boom, done. Facebook page. I posted it on my personal profile. Like, what would you guys think about this? Because I know a lot of people from here.
Yeah. You grew up here,
right? So a lot of people knew that I was going to culinary school. They knew what I was doing.
You've been telling everybody since you were 10 that you were going to do this.
Exactly. So a lot of people knew that I like to cook, and a lot of people at this point, not a lot, close friends, family, all that kind of stuff. They'd all had my food before, so they all knew that I could cook. Mm-hmm. So whenever I posted this, I got a lot of people responding back, yeah, do it. And so that really, and honestly, I feel like I don't know why I made that post, but I guess it was just for my own confidence, really, to see people were like, yeah, they believe I can do this, like So that's really kind of what. But it was a big boost. Go through with it and actually do it, because I've had tons of ideas since then that I'm like, I really want to do this, and I don't know if it's a lack of confidence. I don't think it's a lack of confidence. I think it's just a matter of like the unknown, because what the catering's at right now is it's very comfortable. It's very I love doing it. It's hard to beat. Like it's all my stuff, and it's just hard. It's hard to go away from it. So, yeah.
Now, so you did that for a bit. When you started teaching at some point, right?
I did. So if you backtrack up a little bit, doing catering, I want to say that I just did the catering and that was it. Yeah, so I started out doing the catering in October. And that same month, because I didn't have a job, because I quit that other job. 2 weeks notice put in. I had nothing, like no other job lined up, nothing. And so I went
all in.
I was all in. I did it. I didn't like it that much that I was all in, and probably shouldn't have done that. I probably should have had another job lined up, obviously. But at that time, I was so over it. I was just like, I'm done. Like I'll go work anywhere before I work with food ever again.
Oh man.
So started the little catering thing, posted it on there. I had no customers yet, so I went to Paris Bakery.
Okay.
And I talked to Kit, because I had talked to him before about getting a job there, and at the time it just didn't work out. So I was like, well, I'll go there and see if he needs somebody. So I went there and had a interview with him, and he got me on, and I started working there full time. So I was doing the catering and working at Paris Bakery full time. And I did that from October of 20 through May of 2021. Maybe early June, somewhere in there. But I got that teaching job right in the middle of all that.
Okay.
And it's a funny story, weird story, kind of sad story that I got contacted about this teaching job, and I was like, whoa, this is a really good opportunity. This is really cool. But I loved working at the bakery so much. And honestly, I give all the credit to Kit and his business for like honestly like bringing my passion back.
That's awesome.
For cooking.
Because he's very passionate.
He's very passionate. He's very easy to learn from. It's such a cool environment to be a part of, to cook in. It's not this super hectic, fast-paced kitchen. It's a bakery, like how it is to go sit in there and have a talk with somebody and eat a pastry. It's the same thing when you're working in there. Like, it's so laid back and just chill and just, So I think that's what brought my passion back completely, was working there. So my favorite place that I've ever worked, I talk to him. I'll call him all the time.
Okay, so I need you to help me. I need you to get him on my podcast. Actually, both of them. Can you do that?
I think I could.
Because I love them. I've been around them. I hung out with them before. I don't see them all the time, but I love their heart for the community. I know that he's super passionate. I've shot a few videos in his kitchen. They're also putting in a farm to market grocery store.
They are, yeah.
Right across the street from our space here, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like, he's just a very passionate person.
He is. He's super influential. I mean,
both of them.
I
really
can pick his brain with anything.
Yeah.
And he had confidence in me, which was awesome. And the people that he has working there, I didn't even know they existed. I'd never even seen them before. And these people can cook. It's like this little hidden gem of place, where he has these, all of his employees are great people. And they stick with him, and they're loyal.
Yep.
And they stay there. And that's exactly how I felt. I wanted to stay there. I never wanted to leave. And so, I think he really brought my passion back for cooking, which is awesome.
All right, I gotta step
good.
away just a second.
What's up, homie?
Oh gosh. Sorry about that. As everyone knows, we actually do these podcasts in the studio, so sometimes people come and go, and so I just had a good friend pop in and talk to me, so that's what happened. Where were we at?
We're talking about Paris Bakery.
Paris Bakery.
Yeah.
So you're going to help me get them on the podcast?
I am.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll make it happen.
You make it happen? So you got so through that process, you got the teaching job.
Right.
And walking into a room full of kids that some of them might care and some of them might not care, how did that feel?
It was tough. I mean, I did not understand what I was getting myself into by any means. I was under the I feel like you think about this with every job. You think everything's rainbows.
Golden.
Everything's great.
Yeah.
You don't think about the the little small stuff, and that's exactly how it was. First day, they walk in, and I'm for real. I'm stuck. I don't even know what to say. Hey, what's up? I don't. What do you say to them? All right, class, come sit down. I did not know what to do. And they came in, and I took roll, whatever. And I had a PowerPoint, for the first day of school, just talking about me, trying to set the tone for the year. This is what we're going to do, yada, 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 whatever. And it was a reality check for sure.
Now, do you feel like you went into it going, I've been through this class, I'm going to make it better? Or do you feel like had you going through it through high school helped any in the process?
No, not at all. I knew that I wanted to make the program better because they had told me this is what we want to do with this program, and we want you to help with that. So that's what my goal was. Let's train these students how to become basic cooks. And that's what I put, because you have to write this little what's your goal for the year? And my goal for the year was train these students how to be a basic cook.
Okay.
I don't care if they can cook, Master Chef.
Right. But basics.
I want them to be able to cook for themselves.
Yeah.
It was, 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 It's crazy. Have you ever been in a classroom before? Like
in a culinary classroom?
No, just like in a classroom in general.
Yes.
Like no, I know that, but
obviously
after you graduated, like, and just like watched a class go on.
Yeah, I've been in them. It's changing.
Is it changing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it was tough. Yeah, it was tough at the beginning. It still is tough. I mean, it's not like it's not tough. I got a whole new respect for teachers. Just knowing what they go through every day with these kids that you're trying to motivate and inspire. They are hard to reach. Like, they're hard to reach people, and I get it. And I think that's a good thing about it, is that I'm at this age where I can sort of kind of relate with them. Not really, but I sort of kind of I relate to them better than a 45-year-old math teacher does. So I can talk with them about how they feel. What do you want to do when you graduate? And just kind of like help them or guide them, if you will, on certain topics. But we have a good relationship. Like, there's a lot of students that I've like built a good relationship with that, they can come to me for anything. And it does feel rewarding. And I didn't see that at the beginning of the year. What I saw at the beginning of the year was like, whew, they can't even wash a dish. How am I going to get them to be able to cook anything? Like, I don't even trust them to, wash these dishes. Like, I can't even trust them to do that. Like, you're having to stand over them 24/7, and it's almost, because I'm doing it again next year. So knowing what they've come from at the beginning to now, like what the students that I have right now, what they came from beginning to now, I'm getting a whole new fresh set of them next year. So it's going to be the same thing. But I have a better understanding of how it works, how to talk to them, how to get them to want to do things. And so.
Have you found, or is there even one that's kind of like passionate about it?
Not one. There's not one that like says, this is what I want to do when I graduate. There's not one. And that's okay.
That's okay. I mean, not everybody, again, that's not a rare thing, but I think at that age, it's not everyone wants to be a chef.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, I didn't care. And I was talking to a student today. We had a little, like, sounds funny, little mac and cheese like competition. Last week it was a slider competition. They would make whatever type of slider. That's fun. And we had some cool ones. Like, we had somebody made a waffle with fried chicken, bacon, blueberry jam on the top. Yeah. Which is cool. Somebody did like a French toast with chicken, raspberry, chipotle. Yeah. Stuff like, so, and whenever I'm like, do this, come up with something, and they tell me that, I'm like, I'll just like give them knuckles. I'll be like, that's what's up. That's what's up. Like, I'm glad you're thinking like that now,
you're trying, yeah.
So it's cool to see that, because at the beginning, first 3-4 months, no way they would have even thought to go there. And there's some students that still don't, Yeah. But I was talking to a student today, and with this mac and cheese competition, she was like, so I know you're against Velveeta for mac and cheese, and I was like, no. I was like, hold up. I was like, I have nothing against Velveeta. I have nothing against processed cheese. I was like, I eat it all the time, just like you probably do. I was like, I love Cheese Whiz. I love it out of the jar. I was like, it's disgusting, but I love it. But I was like, but I don't need to teach you how to melt cheese in a microwave that's already meant to melt. Yeah. I was like, I want to teach you how to cook, Yeah. And she's like, well, I get that. And I'm like, so whenever you go off to school or wherever you're by yourself, or you get a house or something, I was like, you already know how to make mac and cheese from Velveeta. Yeah. You don't know how to make it from scratch when you're freshly grating your cheese. I was like, that's when you're cooking. And she was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, yeah. You graduate in May. We're just now here to where you're realizing that, So that's awesome. Yeah. So it goes that way, but it's fine, Like, I'm kind of seeing the like the impact that I've had on them. And some might say I have no impact on them. That's fine too. Like I'm not going to impact everybody, but
no, but as long as you're giving it an effort,
right?
You'll impact one at least.
At least, yeah. And it does feel good. It's cool.
Awesome.
It's cool to know. Yeah.
Now, real quick, okay, we're probably getting towards I try to shoot for like 45 minutes, but we're probably getting to the end of that. But so tell me about these dinners that you plan. I went to the Valentine's one, but you've done several of them. Yeah,
so we usually do a Valentine's. Last year we did a spring one, Father's Day. We try to hit like the major dates, really. If I'm not booked for those days already, then we try to hit those days. So yeah, we pretty much plan it. We'll say this is our day, and then I'll come up with a menu and post out.
And it's like limited seating,
right?
Like
usually it's always been 60 people.
Yeah,
60 people is the max, and depending on the menu, it could be a 3 or 4 course menu. It's prefixed price. You usually will choose your entree or dessert.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it.
It's pretty cool.
They're fun. That's my favorite thing that I do.
What made you want to do something like that?
Really just to be able to like do, because you think the catering, I get to do my own food all the time, and I do, but when it comes to catering food, a lot of the time it's the same. You have to kind of do the same type of stuff. Stuff that can be cooked for 30 or 40 people. I can't do what I do at those dinners for 30 or 40 people. You know, it has to be limited. Or actually, sorry, I do them for 60. For 200, 300 people. It has to be limited for, a smaller amount of people. So I really get to like dive deep into the menu and what I'm making, and I can really be complex, with what I'm doing. So that's why I like doing those, because I get to like be me in it. I get to show what I want to do, and not what most other people want to do. I don't have to do fried chicken or, so.
And if you want to try something new or experiment with something, you get to like do that.
Pretty much, yeah. And a lot of people that come to those, obviously they want to come eat good food, but they get to eat stuff that they've never even heard of before. And it's nothing like it's anything crazy, but they get to come and have an experience that you don't get around here, really. Nowhere. Honestly. So it's how was your experience with it?
It was great. I had a lot of fun. We closed that party down.
We did.
I think I was like
I was part of it.
Yeah.
I felt like
we were one of the last groups to leave. It was fun.
And that's what I want. Like I want people to come out and hang out and, have a good time and socialize with people and, just it's about the experience. Like sometimes it's not always about the food.
I was just gonna say, it reminds me of what you were talking about earlier with the restaurant you started with in Fort Worth. Grapevine. That's right. I'm sorry, Grapevine, where it had that family vibe, and like it felt like, to me, as well as what you explained earlier, where people stayed after. They probably told you what they thought,
right?
And the whole experience of it, not just the food. I mean, the food was great, that hands down. But the experience that I had there that night was, I mean, it might have been just having no kids, but other than that, it was.
I think that's what my goal is when it comes to the catering. Like even catering for 200, 300 people, like I want them to like get a feel for who I am when they get done with the night. It's not always about the food. Like I'm not just sitting a plate of food in front of you. Like I want it to create a memory in your head to where later on, you think about this stuff, because a lot of the memories that you have as adults, a lot of the time when you think about it, involve food somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And that's how it is with me a lot with my grandparents, and family gatherings. It's always something with food. Like we break bread together, and that's how people socialize, and you get to know somebody. What do you do when you take somebody out on a date? You take them out to eat. You sit down face to face at a table and eat and socialize and just talk, and food's always involved with it.
So a lot of emotions and memories and just, stories built around food.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I should start eating at this podcast. You're making
We
me
could.
hungry. Just sitting
We
here.
could.
Yeah, but then you'd have people like smacking while they're
Exactly.
trying to like
That's all right. You know, it's actually a huge pet peeve of mine.
not to smack.
Oh my God, I cannot handle it when somebody like we can be in a quiet room, and if somebody's eating and I can hear you chewing.
Mm-hmm. My father was very sensitive to the chewing loudly.
I can't do it.
Yeah, and
If I'm already like in a bad mood,
yeah,
whew,
yeah.
I have to leave, or I'll just turn up the TV or my phone or something. It'll be blaring, so I don't have to hear it. Even my own self, like I don't even like to hear my own self do it. I cannot handle it. Drives me crazy.
Now we know.
Now we know. Now we know. Fun fact.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
That was a blast.
It was a blast.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
When's the next time someone can get some of your cooking? When are you
You
gonna?
just have to let me know. You have to, Facebook, Instagram.
Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, phone number. They're all attached to those two
Yeah.
profiles. Super busy. I'm not. Yeah, it's April and May are both booked already. June's filling up. July, I won't be here for 2 weeks in July, so that one's kind of limited. I'm pretty much booked out for September, October, and for like weddings.
Weddings.
So,
That's wedding season.
Weddings. Yeah,
Yeah.
wedding season is upon us. So it's super busy during that time. So I don't take a lot on when I have tons of weddings because those are usually a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you just gotta hit me up,
Hit you up.
see my availability. I'm always trying to, I'm always trying to squeeze people in and whatever they have going on, no matter what size. I'm
Love
always
it.
trying to get it in. So yeah,
Love it.
I just like cooking for people.
Nothing
So,
else. Go follow the Facebook page.
Absolutely. Go follow the Facebook
Yeah.
page. Yep. And go follow your page.
Yeah, please. If you're on this podcast and you haven't, please go follow my page too.
I will. I think I do.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much. It was great having a podcast. Austin, it was epic.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Bye, guys.